Yeah, who is this zzpop guy? I keep seeing him on my YouTube notifications. New Perspective keeps posting videos about what do you talk about that's so interesting?
Hello. Hi. I don't know. We talk about lots of stuff.
New Perspective seems like he's pushing you. All of his new videos have you always in the name. It's just weird.
Well, I've had a lot of conversations with New Perspective on the side as well in the DMs. We spent quite a long time debating if it makes sense that a plane can take off and fly on a rotating Earth. I say yes.
Are
He
you
says
a dual pole guy?
no. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that my
Oh, you're a
answer
Glober?
there, yeah, is indicative of where I stand. I do not think um, New Perspective is a Earth rotation denialist, and he seems to think that there is some severe physical problem with something like a plane lifting off and then landing again on a rotating sphere. And I do not think that there is a problem there, but it's been an interesting, winding conversation through a lot of topics. And then beyond that, I don't know. I mean, I talk about whatever comes up here. I mean, I'm most interested in kind of like the cosmology, physics stuff, questions about the universe, Big Bang, dark matter. I'm a dark
What
matter
do you think?
skeptic, and I'm
What do you
pretty
think about Airy's failure?
pro ether. Um, I gotta be honest, I haven't. It's the refraction in the lens thing, and I have not had a chance, or I just keep
No,
forgetting
no
to actually
refraction involved.
review what happened within it. Right, no refraction within it, and
It's
um,
called a Fresnel drag effect. That's what you guys do, and it's stolen from Fresnel. Fresnel, who was an ether theorist. Einstein mixed it with Lorentz transformation,
mhm.
and he gives you a velocity addition formula, which is just completely ad hoc and takes two ether theories and mixes them into a new no ether ad hoc band-aid for Airy's failure and for other interferometry experiments that disprove your ball moving.
Yeah, I don't. I really need to review it because it's come up a bunch of times, and I haven't. I need to like go back and look at what the predictions were classically versus what the predictions are relativistically, and
It doesn't really
what's
matter what the predictions are. Just think about it logically, with Michelson-Morley or Airy's failure, um, or just a ring
Well,
laser
I just
gyro.
I don't even remember what the setup what I know it has something to do with the aberration of light, but beyond that, I don't like know off the top of my head what they thought they were supposed to see versus what they actually saw.
Well, the water in the telescope versus the air in the telescope gets you the same angle of aberration of the star. But if you have a moving telescope filled with water, it slows down the starlight going through the telescope. Um, and if the Earth was moving, the starlight would be basically dragged to the others to a side of the telescope, which is not where you're seeing it. You're seeing it pretty much still the same as the with the air in it. So what they do is they take Fresnel drag and they get rid of any ether, conception from how it was made. And Einstein says, this, and the Fresnel was also a glober, so it was an ad hoc for Airy's failure. Um, but the drag formula basically just accounts for the fact that the light isn't dragged by the water in the telescope like it should be, and the Fresnel drag basically drags the light in the opposite direction and moves it right back to where it would be on a stationary Earth with the with no drag caused by the water.
Mhm. Um, okay, so you don't see the drag that you were
Well, and what's
expecting.
funny, what's funny is what they say from the so because they're relativists from the Earth position, the Earth frame position, there is no velocity, there is no drag effect of the water um, when it's viewed from that position. So you don't even need to account for Fresnel drag or the lack of angle shift from that frame because they say the water's not moving in that frame, and therefore, the starlight shouldn't be affected by Earth's motion, of the telescope's motion.
All
I
right.
think
Well,
this is a
I
problem.
promise I will do a review of what's going on with this relativistic aberration before the next time we speak on it. As you know, it's clearly a popular topic here, and I don't think I
Well,
ever even thought about the aberration of light until I started listening to these conversations.
it's pretty simple. I don't know what people say they don't understand. I think like a lot of people, I think a lot of Globers do understand. They just assume that it's above their pay grade, and they don't have to consider the repercussion, the implications to their belief system.
Well, obviously, most people don't think that Airy's failure means that the Earth is stationary. They think that the relativistic explanation is sufficient. What I'm not
Yeah, but
finding is
lots of people are very sick and keep getting sick, and the doctor says that there's no cure, and they stay sick, and they don't consider that the doctor could be wrong. So yeah, there's lots of people that don't think about anything from a different position ever, despite constantly being barraged with problems from their belief system.
wait, sorry, one sec, BRB.
Yeah, I think there's a problem with it anyway. So you don't know the medium, like your medium's like water to start to begin with. And then when they're going to take it from water and speed it up or slow it down again and do all this other stuff, yeah, I don't think they're getting the right thing. And then when the arrow, when you put liquid in front of an arrow and it switches direction, what does a sphere do when it's got three black dots on
Bro,
it?
what are you talking about, bro?
Shut up, kid that's not learning. Stop talking over me, and
Why
you'll
is he
probably
unmuted, dude?
figure it
He's
out
so
if you stop
stupid. He's like the
talking at the
dumbest
same
slut
time
ever.
as the person you're asking what they're saying. Maybe you could hear them. When the sun or an object with little pictures on it, like a smiley face, you put it in the same front of the water, it's going to flip the other way. So when you
That has
guys or
nothing to
Globers,
do with the
shut
topic,
up,
dude.
dude. I'm not done. So when Globers think they see inverted sun dots, maybe that's why. And maybe QOP can shut the fuck up and somebody else can learn something in here.
So stupid.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're stupid. So what? So now the arrow switches direction from right to left. You're saying the sunspots can't do the same thing in the same type of medium? You're so stupid, QOP. Try to learn something one day in your life, buddy. You'll get there. That's what I'm here for.
All right, hello. I got a little more time now. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to get going in a bit, so I don't have a ton of time to get into anything right now, but can at the very least talk, for like another 10 minutes or so.
You should have been here yesterday when all the Globers were denying the ether.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll come up again.
Yeah.
So a point I've made a lot is that you can adopt a ether framework. Um, that does not mean that you're going to be able to detect linear motion within it. You know, um, perhaps don't assume one way or the other on that. And it's going to come down to, well, what are the actual interactions that take place between matter moving through the ether and the ether, right? This is a question of interaction as to whether or not the effects of moving through the ether are going to be directly visible or are going to disguise themselves
They're not.
when it
Yeah.
comes to linear motion.
Yeah. The ether is non-quantifiable directly.
Yeah, you'd have to
Yeah, well,
create it.
it's a pretty open question as to what it is. I mean, it's a sort of vague topic,
It's
but
not an is. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. And this is kind of like what I prefaced the entire convo yesterday pertaining to the ether, because I was asked if it existed. And I said, well, it's kind of dependent on how you define existence. And most mainstream Globers define existence based upon quantifiability. So by that measure, no, it simply doesn't exist. That's not to say it doesn't exist at all, but it doesn't exist based upon that framework. And I tried explaining to them how there's a difference between qualitative attributes and quantitative attributes, and then gave an example of the two. And for some reason, it just seemed to go over their heads. Felt like a little disingenuous. Like I gave the example of love not being directly quantifiable, but rather indirectly. And then I gave the example of the magnetic field being a qualitative attribute rather than a quantitative effect or attribute. And I don't know. It just seems like a lot of these guys are unwilling to try to make sense of what's being said. It seems almost intentional. How do you define existence, ZZ?
I mean, it's what I think is. I don't know how to define it other than cyclically. Um, I mean, you could debate whether or not any scientific model is telling you what reality is, or it's just a framework for thinking about reality. So when I think about what ether is, I imagine that quote unquote empty space vacuum is not empty, that there is a material substance there with specific properties that are like the properties that we see in the types of material substances that we can hold in our hands. Um, there is air, there's water, there's glass, there's rubber. All these different materials have these quantifiable properties like their dielectric constants, and vacuum is one of them. It's not the absence of material; it's a fundamental material.
Yes, dielectric constant.
Material,
Nice.
another, and it is completely legitimate to set up this framework in which you take as a first assumption that this ether has some stationary reference frame, that there is a reference frame in which you would be stationary to the ether, and then if you're not stationary to the ether, you're moving through the ether. And there are specific physical consequences of moving through the ether. So this is not a relativistic starting point. And as far as I can tell, that's a perfectly legitimate starting framework for physics that's worth exploring, right? So rather than taking it as an axiom, as a primary assumption that all reference frames are equal, don't take it as a primary assumption that all reference frames are equal. Take it as a primary assumption that there is a stationary ether reference frame. Okay. And now the question is, experimentally, what are the effects on matter of moving through the ether? What are the ways in which we could or could not detect different types of motion through the ether because of the interactions between matter and the ether? So that's how I go about thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I liked everything you said except for the part that ether has to be some sort of like materialistic base
I said
essentially.
it was
And
something with material properties.
oh, okay.
To maybe hedge my bets there a little bit. I mean, what distinguishes it from any type of material made of, let's say, atoms, is that, you know, it's different. It's something more fundamental. That's one of the clear stipulations of it, right? It's something that I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think a productive way of thinking about it is that it's not just another type of matter, it is something more fundamental than any type of matter, but it can still be relevant to think about it in terms of it having a sort of a list of properties that are material properties, that it has elasticity, it has polarizability, it has
Compressibility.
stress and strain, yeah, things like that. It's worthwhile to ask the question of the sort of categories of usefully identifiable physical properties that most materials have, what is the ether in terms of that list of properties, even if it is
But
itself something more fundamental, than any regular matter.
would the list of properties that ether has be greater than or less than the properties that free space has under the mainstream model? I would propose. My understanding is that it has more properties than free space, and those properties could be tested
Yeah.
for.
It's an interesting question because at this point, the concept of free space has become so sort of loaded in mainstream physics because of quantum fields that at a certain point, um, saying that I'm adopting an ether framework may just be sort of a different philosophical take on what the quantum fields are that mainstream physics does accept to exist. But there is, I'd say,
No,
an
that makes
important
sense from your
subtle,
point of view.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's an important subtle difference about what are your starting axioms versus what are properties that you think need to be derived, right? So, like, one of the key contentions about free space under the relativistic framework is that you assume the equivalency of reference frames as an axiom. And I'd say with most ether frameworks, you don't make that initial assumption, right? So there are different axioms between the two. Even if the two end up coming out the same, there's kind of different philosophical requirements of what the frameworks allow you to make as a axiomatic assumption versus what the frameworks only accept if those sort of arise as derived outcomes, like due to specific interaction processes. So, whereas with free space, you might assume all reference frames of different linear velocity are equivalent and the speed of light will be the same within all of them. I think the big distinction is that within an ether framework, you explicitly assume the opposite. And if it turns out that it is the case that you can't detect linear motion with respect to the ether, then what you demand of the framework is like a specific causal explanation for why you can't detect linear velocity with respect to the ether. That could be an outcome that arises from the details of how things interact, but it's not something that would be accepted as input to the framework as an assumption.
Well, you notice, so I don't know if I'm lagging,
Oh
but
boy, yeah, you're lagging.
you're. I'm not. Or am I?
You're gonna destroy our convo. That's where
Okay.
you're at.
So you're saying, with you can't measure linear motion of the Earth because Michelson Morley got a no result, and you guys explain that away as you just can't do that. But with the ring laser gyro, you guys claim you can measure the Earth's axis rotation. So don't you think that's like cherry picking, like where to put like your ad hoc band-aids and which one to use as Earth and does prove Earth motion? So how can one interferometer work to measure a type of motion, even though there's different reference frames for stationary Earth within the belief that the Earth is rotating? There's still that reference frame that the ring laser gyro is attached to it, and it's not moving.
Yeah, so you have the null result of the linear Michelson-Morley experiment. And before the principle of relativity was adopted, there was an alternative explanation that was being pursued, which is in a sense equivalent to what happens in relativity. but it is the length contraction of the.
Are you answering your own question? Are you answering your own question?
I
I'm
wouldn't
answering
even
your.
engage him, to be honest. It's easy. He's just
Yeah,
gonna
You
run
won't
away
engage me?
anyway.
I'll just finish the answer here, right? So,
Answering who? He's not answering me. What are you talking about, Dice, though?
well, let me
All
just finish
right.
up with what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is that there are different ways to explain the null result of the Michelson-Morley experiment.
I asked about ring laser gyro.
Yeah. Okay, so then there's different ways of explaining why you don't see linear motion, but you do see rotational motion.
Okay. How?
Okay, so I was just going to list through what some of the different possibilities are, but let me jump to one of the particular possibilities, right? So, one possibility is that the physical matter in the interferometer, right, the mirrors, something is happening to it as it moves through the ether. It's getting squeezed. Its length is changing due to its motion through the ether. And when that motion is only linear, the effects on the interferometer cancel out the phase shift that you would have otherwise expected to be there, but it doesn't cause a cancellation when it rotates.
So you're just saying the thing that doesn't happen in your model wouldn't happen in this theory? It's like, so you guys what?
I'm providing a possible way of pursuing it, right? There's an experimental question of, if you adopt an ether framework, what happens to matter as it moves through the ether? Like, what are the physical effects on matter as
I'm
it moves
confused.
through
Are
the
you a
ether?
relativist or an ether globularist?
I'm entertaining the ether framework.
You're entertaining. What is this? LARP? Are you LARPing? Are you playing make believe right now?
No, I think that it could be a legitimate framework.
So this is just all like fake philosophy to you, right? I was talking about science, like scientifically, why does ring laser
No,
gyro pick up
no.
a Sagnac effect, and why does Michelson-Morley not pick up linear motion?
Right. So you have to look at what goes into the model as to why you would even think that the Michelson-Morley is supposed to pick up a interference effect in the first place. And the assumption that goes into that as to why you're expecting it to pick up an interference effect is that the mirrors stay at the same distance apart as the thing moves through the ether. But if they don't stay at the same distance apart, if the physical interferometer gets contracted as it moves through the ether, then that cancels out the interference. That is what disguises any linear motion. Rotational motion
Why are
is a
you?
different type
I
of
asked,
motion.
why does ring laser gyro pick up the angle change in your globe model? But I gave you linear motion doesn't work with interferometry for the phase shift in your model. That's fine. You're not explaining, like, why don't you let Super John try to
Well,
answer that?
rotational motion and linear motion are just not equivalent to each other. So whatever are the
Why?
physical effects, what do you mean why they're not equivalent to each other?
Well, you just made a baseless assertion, so now you have to say why, or you could just say, oh, I just believe this.
Because a line is different than a circle? I mean, I don't know how elementary you want
Okay.
this to get here.
Why would you not? Why in relativity do you not pick up one moving reference frame, but you do pick up another?
Same
Why do
reason.
you not pick up one? Yeah, for the exact same reason here. Because if you're in relativity, if you're moving at constant linear velocity, you
It's the
are
same reason
inertial.
you
There
wouldn't
are
pick up
no
either.
inertial forces. No. Relativity makes a very clear distinction between linear motion and rotational motion. Yeah. But we could
Which is what?
with constant, because rotational motion involves acceleration and linear motion does not.
They're
When you're
both they're
rotating,
both geodesics. The linear. It's not a linear motion.
nope.
It's around the sun.
No. You're confusing things. The Sagnac
Well,
effect
I'm
is
confusing
about
things.
spinning the interferometer. Yeah, you're spinning the interferometer on its own axis.
Yeah, attached to your globe that's spinning, and the globe is spinning around the sun, so they're both geodesics. What are you talking about?
No, spinning motion's not a geodesic. Spinning around your own axis is not a geodesic.
The Earth is the one rotating.
Sure, the Earth, but that's not what the
You
Michelson-Morley
can't spin
experiment.
around your own axis if the Earth, if the ring laser gyro and the Earth are from their reference frame not moving, and you don't see it spin. So the Earth is the one spinning.
Yeah, sorry. Instead of saying that you're spinning the interferometer around its axis, the interferometer is on the Earth. The Earth is rotating around its central axis. Yes, which is different than the Earth moving through space on an orbit around the sun.
Right. But they're both
I guess at
circles.
a classical
They're
level,
different.
you could say that
Right.
they're both circles. Okay, fine. Well, let's say they're both circles, right? But they're circles of wildly different
Why can't
radiuses,
you
right?
just tap out? Why can't you just tap out? I just checkmated you. This is where you tap out and you say, you know what? Fuck my life. I lost this.
No. See, circles of entirely
No,
different radiuses have completely different implications about how much centripetal acceleration there is. Okay, let's roll this back to a Newtonian framework, right? If we're in a Newtonian framework, then you're correct. Circular motion
Just
is
admit
circular
to
motion,
Blob.
and the Earth's rotation on its own axis versus the Earth going around the Sun are both just examples of circular motion. Sure, but the Earth going around the Sun is a much bigger radius circle. So it's approximately just linear motion. That is, the centripetal force on the Earth of doing a big circle around the sun is tiny, minuscule compared to the centripetal force of the Earth's spin on its own axis. Um, so yeah, so if an interferometer experiment does not pick up linear motion, it only picks up acceleration, then the thing about circular motion that it is sensitive to is the rate of circulation. It is the frequency of circulation. And the Earth's spin is a once per day circulation, and the Earth's orbit around the sun is a once per year. So those are vastly different scales of circular acceleration.
All right. Well, maybe another day we'll do the ether thing.
It's just a really bad appeal to taking a long time for a rotation. Like that doesn't cut like the centrifugal forces that are going to be up there at that point.
Yeah. The guy took off anyway, so there's not even a point to entertain his bullshit question right through the middle of our conversation. That's what this guy does. He comes in, destroys the conversation, leaves, and then just rinse and repeats the same process over and over all day long.
Demanding you submit to his obviously superior supposition.
Did he leave in the middle of that?
Yeah, he left. He does this all the time.
Okay.
That's why I was saying there's no point
whatever.
to entertaining the kid.
He's like
We
the Skeletor
apologize on the entire flat Earth community. We apologize to you, ZZ.
No, it's fine.
No, we don't.
So
We don't apologize.
The point I was making is that linear motion on a line, as in meters per second, and rotational spin around an axis, as in degrees per second, are entirely different concepts of motion, entirely different concepts of a rate of change. And I don't know, I guess that's an axiomatic assumption there, but this seems pretty straightforward to me. And what the Sagnac effect is picking up on is the angular change. It's picking up on an angle change per second. So the fact that you see something when you rotate an interferometer, it's not the linear motion, it's not the velocity in meters per second you're seeing, it is the angular change in angle per second you're seeing. So yeah, I mean that's the clear distinction here. And the Earth's orbit around the sun also does have angle per second change, but it's a tiny angle per second change compared to its rotation on its own axis, compared to spinning an interferometer in place, on its axis. So
if the Earth was tidally locked to the sun, then the only thing you'd be measuring would be that orbit around the sun, that rotation around the sun. But insofar as the Earth is allegedly spinning around its own axis, that is like drowning out anything from traveling around the sun.
And also, just like the Mickelson-Morley and the Sagnac are different setups completely. The Sagnac is set up to see an effect from spin, from angle change per second, and the Mickelson-Morley was set up to see an effect from distance change per second. Like, they're different devices built to measure different things in completely different contexts. But oh well.
Just don't confuse ether with Mickelson-Morley and think that there's no ether because Mickelson-Morley was disproven. I hear a lot of Globers love to straw man this idea.
Wait, what would you? Wait, can you rephrase that as what the idea is?
The idea is that they're not mutually exclusive. The idea of the ether's been around since Rene Descartes and who knows prior to him, and not every postulation as to what the ether is coincides with one another. Like the luminiferous ether from Michelson-Morley isn't the same as Maxwellian ether, which isn't the same as Tesla's ether. So to say that the ether doesn't exist because Michelson-Morley was disproven is a complete farce to say that ether doesn't exist because of that
And
point.
people give me the business
That's
because I
my
say
position.
ether is a loaded term and thus hard to use currently. Like it should be whatever it is that is an alternative to space time should have some adjective at least in front of ether if it's going to be distinct
Cut
from
off
those
towards
of the
the end there.
past.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my position, is that ether is a loaded term. There's been a lot of different concepts of it, and that to say anything about it, you do need to set down some specific assumptions, some specific ideas you have about what its properties are, and then you need to actually look at, okay, under your theory of what the ether is, what will be its effect on matter moving through it? And in general terms here, like, it's pretty clear to me that you should probably assume that there will be a different effect of spinning matter within the ether versus linearly moving matter within the ether, just from the perspective that those are two completely different types of motion. Those are two completely different categories of motion. And if the ether exists and it has an effect on matter, I would expect the effect it has on matter as matter moves through it to be different in its cumulative effect if
What if
the
there's
object weight of matter is moving straight
Z-
forward versus spinning. Yeah.
ZZ? So
Yeah.
with these properties of ether, right? Is there a separate ether load depending on your location,
Ether load, what does that mean?
like amount?
Quantity of it?
Yeah.
It's going to depend on what model you implement, right? Like, it's going to, at base level, the version of it I'm thinking about is, something that gives rise to electromagnetic forces in empty space. Like, we have a very clear conceptual understanding of what happens when you put an electric charge in a dielectric medium and how the force from that charge radiates out. So when I say ether, I'm imagining the transmission of electromagnetic forces through space via a mechanism that is something like what we understand of how it works within physical materials. So then, do you want to look at a model in which the ether has a constant background density, or one in which the density of it is allowed to vary from place to place? You could get probably very widely different outcomes depending on what you put into the framework.
What do you think, Blob? Does it?
So I'm most interested in kind of sort of minimal model of it, that recovers what we already know about um, electromagnetic forces in what we call empty space. So I guess in that case, you would say that there's a constant background density of it.
It does seem like when I get deep enough into the conversation, it does become like, well, you call it ether, but I call it free space. And then the question of what next is the most important one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have any doubt about the validity of the experimental results that have come out of particle smashers, which are going off of quantum field theory in a relativistic free space. So it's very interesting to me if you can rederive the same outcomes from what feels like a very different starting point. And then, if what you end up with is experimentally identical in the end, then you can say it's a word choice. But I'm interested in metaphysics. I'm interested in philosophy of science. I'm interested not just in knowing if a framework arrives at answers, but if you could have arrived at the same answers from a different starting point. Even if there's equivalency in the outcome, if the initial assumptions of the framework were different and you ended up in the same place, that's still very interesting to me to explore.
Dude, I'm the king of that. Hey, ZZ, I missed your entire answer because someone started talking to me in real life. So I don't know if you could sum it up.
Answer about which part?
The ether load.
I guess if I take that to be like the energy density of it or something, then constant, I think, across space. But
You know who likes ether load? Jeremy.
But a factor of burn.
Oh, that's just me roasting Jeremy.
Aha!
Dude, I'm the king of using the wrong method to get to the right answer.
Isn't that just dialetheism?
I don't know.
Yes, he's not here. I tried my best.
It was good.
What if you just retard Max so hard you're just right about everything and it doesn't even make sense how you're right about everything, but wouldn't that be the correct way to do it? Wouldn't that mean that you're right and everyone else is wrong?
So here's where I actually think that there could be something interesting or productive that comes out of this, of why it's not necessarily just equivalent, because it could potentially change how many free parameters you actually have within theory. So right now, within the framework of relativistic free space, the speed of light is a really important constant. Where does the speed of light come from? Well, it comes from the dielectric permittivity of free space. Where does that come from? That's just a raw input. That's treated as fundamental. That's treated as ground level, right? So I think that there's a potential here in pursuing these alternative frameworks to not simply get back to the same end outcomes that are accepted by physics, but possibly show that you could start with fewer initial independent constants, right? One of the things that I'm interested in that I think could arise from working on these frameworks is showing that something like the dielectric permittivity of free space, which is treated just as a mystery fundamental constant in modern physics, might actually be derivable from other values. And that would be significant if you can show that you can get the same end results and show that something that was treated as its own independent fundamental constant is actually derivable from other things that were treated as dependent.
Isn't the
constants.
dielectric constant a combination of permissivity and permeativity? I thought it was split at least one more time from the dielectric constant.
I might be screwing up my phraseology on all this as to what it is.
I don't remember what it's electric and magnetic. One is permissivity, one
Right,
is
it is the
permissivity.
there's the permittivity and a permeability.
I thought those are independently measured, and thus then output the dielectric constant, because it works for other materials too, I think.
Sorry, so I should say that the dielectric constant is the ratio of the permittivity in a material versus the vacuum permittivity. That was a slight flaw,
okay.
a slight screw up in what I was saying, right? So
Gotcha,
it's
okay.
so the dielectric constant of a material is its ratio against the vacuum. The speed
Which
of
would
light
put
in the
vacuum
vacuum.
at vacuum's like the basement floor level,
right.
a ratio of 1.
Yeah, so the speed of light in the vacuum comes from the vacuum permittivity and the vacuum permeability. I previously thought that those were independent quantities, but I recently attended a lecture given where it was pointed out that actually the permeability is completely dependent on the permittivity in terms of unit choice. In that once you've already made a unit choice for how you measure charge, and how you measure velocity, the structure of the electromagnetic equations actually makes the permeability directly derivable from the permittivity. So that gets you down to just one variable. And then I was listening to a really...
Was there any proposed alternative to it, like other unit choices that could drive a wedge between the two, or?
No, no. This is just it's one is derivable from the other because the permeability is about magnetic fields in free space. The permittivity is about electric fields in free space, and magnetic fields come from charges in motion. So
we don't have a way to directly like induce a magnetic field without a charge. Is that what it comes down to?
Yeah. Right, exactly right. Because if you take like the base unit of the electric field strength tied to a unit of charge, and then the base unit of kind of magnetic field strength tied to a unit of charge in motion at whatever the standardized unit of velocity is, you get locked into a value there. So what was really interesting about this talk is that they then went further into a speculative model that I think would make a lot of these kind of ether people very intrigued, because the speculative model was treating vacuum of space as a dielectric medium. I was essentially saying, okay, instead of the interpretation of virtual particles, getting created and annihilated, treated as though the entire vacuum of space is filled with dielectrics, dielectric as in two charges, positive and negatives. The simplest dielectric is a little rod with a plus on one side and a negative on the other side. And when they stretch apart, and you get some separation between them, you say, hey, a particle was created there, and then when they come back together, you say that a particle was annihilated. So they import into this basically the same conclusion of the framework of what is normally being called virtual particles, right? But they make a subtle change in the framework of what the vacuum state is. That essentially the vacuum state, when the virtual particles aren't there, they're not gone. They're just like, it's just like a contracted dielectric, right? So this is adding a lot of sort of additional kind of physicality to the vacuum that's not a part of standard quantum field theory. Purposefully done so to agree with experimental stuff that we know about quantum field theory, but adding some new details to the properties of the vacuum that wouldn't automatically be there within a kind of free relativistic space framework. And then they're trying to derive the vacuum permittivity from the properties of this dielectric medium of space.
Would that
How do I
potentially
use
the assumptions, like the presuppositions, or would it be still a net, like no change? It's just reframing those assumptions.
So, or I guess I should say that I need to reread it, but my understanding of it was that it did make different actual like fundamental assumptions that's like very close but not the same to the standard model. But they so their inputs to this are um, the energy levels of things like positronium, basically the energy levels of if you have an electron and a positron, or a muon and an anti-muon, or something like that, like in orbit around each other. Because that's like a simple dielectric there, a positive and a negative of equal mass, the particle and the antiparticle, right? So we can experimentally look at what are the energy levels if you construct, a briefly lived little object that is a charged particle and its antiparticle orbiting around each other. And then they made a different assumption of what happens. Instead of saying that they're gone at annihilation, that essentially it contracts into a lower energy state rather than them being annihilated. And we know what all the different types of particles are, and we know what their different antiparticles are, right? And we know what those energy values are as an experimental fact. And then that was the input for their model of this sort of dielectric medium of empty space, basically just being the resting condition of all of the things that when they're excited, we then call those, particles that popped out of the vacuum. And then from that model, they derive the vacuum permittivity, and it came in at like 1% off from what the experimental value is. But as far as I can understand in standard physics, these are independent things. In that there's no explanation in standard physics as to why the kind of like the binding energy between a particle and its antiparticle summed across all known fundamental particles would have any relationship to the permittivity of empty space. So this really is a difference in their model that leads to a new fundamental prediction as a means of predicting the permittivity of empty space.
That's
Rather
awesome.
than taking.
How do
You
I
can
use
drop
this
in the chat.
knowledge to make a
Yeah, let
supercar?
me find the paper and drop it in. But the big deal is that it came in extremely close, to the actual value there, right?
Yeah,
So
it sounds like it.
it's like it's very possible that like we're missing some details or some knowledge of the full family of particles. But this would be something that takes the permittivity of space, demotes it from a fundamental constant, and makes it a derived constant of
Yeah.
the more fundamental. So anyway, so this is what I mean by even if you are being careful to experiment with new frameworks, knowing what outcomes you want to be consistent with standard physics, where there's still room to do some novel and different and interesting things. Yeah, let me find this and post it, because I'm doing my best to try to explain it, but that was it as I understood it. Okay, I'll do a little search and find the paper.
You started to ask a question, Blob.
ZZ, how do I use this
My-
knowledge to make a
My follow-up
supercar?
question would
To make a what?
A supercar.
A supercar? I don't know.
If it ain't applicable, then
Maybe it will be something.
it's bullshit. What do you think about them
what
apples?
scale? Applicable for what end goal?
Making
Like
a
those are-
car, dude. Making a car. I want to make a car with ether tech.
What does current mainstream model prevent you from doing with a car that you're hoping to get out of an alternative model?
I want a better one.
Better in what metric?
Every way.
Well, nothing in this world can be better in literally every way, I don't think. Can it?
I'm better than you.
In literally every way?
Yeah.
Well, that can be a foundational axiom of yours, but there's no justification for it.
All right. How do I enhance my chi with ether tech? Chi enhancement, guys, get on it. Is enhancing chi too low level for you guys?
It's enhancing cheese sounds nice.
No, you're working on more important stuff.
I should just save this earlier. Oh, wait, here we go.
I've done a bunch of chi research and it never came up ether or mainstream.
What do you do?
You can do some chi kong or some
That shit doesn't
kung
work.
fu forms. Oh, it doesn't? By what model?
None of that shit works. You're telling me I'm going to do Tai Chi and enhance my chi?
No, I didn't say tai chi. I said chi gong.
What? Is that like sound?
No. Sounds like you need to do
Chi.
some more research.
Okay, you have the word gong in there. You're telling me you're not hitting a gong?
I don't think the word gong is in Chinese is gong.
The fuck is Qi Gong?
Google it.
Tell me what it is.
A practice to improve your chi.
Doing what?
Doing qi gong.
Oh, it's a breath thing?
Breath and holding static poses, so it's not tai chi, no.
No, that shit doesn't work. That's
But
stupid.
you didn't even know what it was, and yet now you know it doesn't work. How do you know that?
Yeah, I told you I'm the king of getting to the right answer with the wrong method.
All right, now demonstrate it's right. That's step 2.
No, the correct answer is that shit doesn't work.
The correct answer is that which Blob doth proclaim.
Yeah, I was right.
GG. Give yourself a W. Congratulations.
Yeah. I want shit that actually works, okay? Not this Qigong bullshit.
All right, I found the paper.
You got to use feng shui. Feng shui.
Feng Shui might be more effective. Still doesn't work, though.
It doesn't work more effectively. It's less effective at not working. What is it?
No, it could provide some sort of subtle enhancement to something that actually does work.
Some underlying root cause of actually working.
Yeah.
What's that?
Hey, I don't know, dude. I'm asking you, how do I enhance my chi?
You're the one who knows. Like you said, you get to the right answer.
Look, I got some of the answers. I don't have all of them.
Eating
What do you
chi-shaped
have to
animal.
What do you have to say, dude?
You've heard it and you've declared it.
Yeah, that was bullshit. Anybody else got an answer?
No, your turn. Nobody answer until you answer. Then we'll compare.
What is chi?
You did bullshit. You brought it up. Let's set it to your definition.
Oh,
and
so
work
we're
from
gonna
there.
enhance something, and you don't even know what it is.
Well, I know what it is, and it works for me doing qigong. But clearly, we're talking about something
You
different.
don't know what
So
it is.
to
If you think that
differentiate,
bullshit works, you don't know what it is.
to differentiate yours
let
and
me give you a
mine,
simple
let's hear
answer,
what yours
bud.
is.
Okay, here's a simple one. Do you know what food sounds like chi?
Cheetos,
No.
chicory,
Nope.
chihuahuas.
Wrong.
You cannot prove to me that chihuahuas
It's a
doesn't
simple
sound like
answer, dude.
chi.
It's a simple answer. Hey, what
I'm
food
sticking
sounds
with
like
chihuahuas.
chi? What food sounds
Chihuahuas.
like chi, dude? Add one
Chihuahuas.
fucking letter to chi. To the end
Chihuahuas.
of it.
Chia
One
seeds.
letter. No.
Chia. That is one letter added to the end of chi.
It's the wrong answer.
Nope, it's the right answer by your own definition. Add one
You said
letter
chia
to the end of
seeds.
chi.
That's a whole nother fucking word
Chia.
added on to the end of it.
Chia.
Oh, chia pets? What are we talking about? That's
Chia.
not fucking food, dude.
You can eat
Food,
it.
that sounds like chi.
Chia.
It's cheese.
Only if the English language doesn't exist. But nice try. Well, I guess I didn't ask you how
You want to know
spell
how to
chi.
enhance your chi? You eat cheese.
How do you
Imagine
spell
that.
chi? Maybe that was our disagreement the whole time. You thought chi was CHEE.
I wasn't talking about the spelling, dude.
Oh, well then chia works.
If you had an S to chi, like CHI, sounds like cheese, right?
No, that's chiss. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, chi, plural chi, is not chiss.
Chiss.
No.
Prove it.
No.
I know you can't.
It's QI anyway.
Look, I got an army of 10 ninjas, right?
Good vibes.
I have 10 ninjas,
Good vibes.
right? I'm like,
Good vibes.
I'm
How do you
talking
get
to my
from QI to cheese?
I'm talking to my lieutenant master. I'm like, hey, dude, so how do we
You don't
enhance
have
our
lieutenant
ninja's
masters.
cheese?
You don't even have lieutenants, let alone lieutenant masters.
How do we
And those aren't
enhance their?
ninja ranks anyway. You're just pulling this out your ass.
All right. Thanks for the
But good
interruptions,
vibes.
dude.
What do you think?
I think he's doing the Taiwan style. That's what he's doing.
Do you think that's better or worse than the mainland?
Dude, the fucking Chinese people don't have this shit figured out. You're talking about Chinese methods. That none of that shit works, dude. There's like maybe
What about
3 guys who are Chinese
cheese?
who know.
No Chinese cheese? It's got to be what kind of cheese?
There's no Chinese cheese, dude.
Sorry, cheese.
Hey, Rusted, how do you enhance your chi?
What did the first Chinese astronaut say when they landed on the moon and took a photo? They said cheese.
I like that.
Break out the Runer rover.
Rusted, how do you enhance your chi?
You do what this guy just said. You just smile, cheese, and then maybe hold your breath for 5
That
seconds.
shit doesn't work, guys. That shit doesn't
33
work.
seconds. You gotta hold your breath for 33 seconds. You gotta smile and say cheese at the end, and then jump 3 times and go jump into
You will feel better.
a creek or a river.
Yeah, you will feel better if you do that.
None of this works.
I can personally vouch for it.
You have to
I
do
know
it
what
while
you have to eat,
standing.
though. I know you have to eat. You have to eat eggplant. Eggplant is aubergine, right? Eggplant, because in Chinese, eggplant is called chizi.
Is it? I mean, you're closer to
Chizi.
China than most of us.
Thanks,
But
genius.
does it look purple like the Turkish eggplant, or does it look white like the old school eggplant?
No, not those light purple color ones. They're really dark purple. They're both called chizi, though.
Is
Hey,
it
look, I
striped
know you guys
purple
want
or
to
just
troll,
solid
right?
purple?
And you're like, oh, you just fucking smile and you fucking eat chia seeds and all this bullshit. How do you
Well, when
enhance
you
your
ask
chi? Hey, bud, you
when
can have
you
a
ask a
fucking
Chinese
30-minute
smile for the
circle jerk
camera, you ask
conversation
them to
about
say
ether. No. You're going to have a 30-minute
Blob's
circle jerk
turn,
about
guys.
ether, right? And you can't tell me how to enhance my fucking chi?
First, tell me what benefits come from enhancing chi. Is it even worth it?
Do you know what it is?
I don't. I'm asking.
Okay, so you're out of the conversation. You're done.
Oh,
Anybody know how to
questions are
enhance their chi?
verboten. You can't ask for questions. You
Hey,
just gotta
stop getting
already know.
triggered,
to
dude. You don't even know
participate.
what it is. You don't know what it is.
I'm not
Anybody know
convinced
how to?
you know what it is.
Hey, dude, you don't have answers. Shut up. Does
You got
anybody
nothing.
know, bro? Shut the fuck up. Does anybody know how to enhance their chi?
Eat cheese.
I know how
Next
to.
question.
I know how to
And well,
conserve it. So don't spill your seed, and then you will conserve your chi.
seeds does rhyme with cheese, so that's a good
You
point.
need to hold the horse stance. Stand with your feet shoulder width apart.
Qigong.
Bend your knees slightly. Keep your
Exactly.
spine straight and relax your shoulders while breathing naturally. If you do
That's what I
that
said,
for
and
33
Blob said no.
seconds while standing in a pool of moving water with a copper triangle on your head, maybe you could, I don't know,
No,
do
Blob,
something with your chi.
Blob literally told me that doesn't work because I said
That's a better.
Qigong.
You didn't say that shit. That's a better
That's
answer
what
than
Qigong
anything you
is. You're just
said.
a terrible
You
researcher.
said qigong. You said qigong.
That's what that is. She described it perfectly.
Oh, is that really?
No, it's
Is
not,
that what
dude.
that is? Really?
Yeah.
No,
Horse
he's
stance.
bullshitting.
Standing in horse stance.
I didn't even know what horse stance was. Like I was
Well,
imagining a
I'm gonna
totally
fucking
different stance.
I'm gonna stand and I'm gonna enhance my chi by standing. For fuck's sake, guys.
See, you don't even know what horse stance is. I'm not
Have you
convinced
heard?
you actually know anything.
Have you heard
You
about the
stand with your
people that?
legs wide apart. Go ahead.
There's people that are building like these boxes that are like lined in copper, and they put it in a creek and like sit in it, and it's supposed to like help with some shit. I don't know. I forget. I don't know
I
what
could
it's
see
called.
that. I was
I
bringing
feel
up earlier with acupuncture. Like you use acupuncture to you put copper needles in the body, and then you take a copper wire from high altitude, and then you bring it down and touch the needles. What
All
about
right,
that?
so this is what you do. This is what you do. You build a copper triangle out of pipes, set that in the creek, attach copper to each point of the triangle and attach it like one corner to one foot, one to the other, each arm. Then you have a balloon going up in the air with the copper attached to it right above, attached to the triangle. Yeah. Maximizing chi right there.
That
There you
sounds
go.
way more powerful than eating cheese.
And eat cheese
Oh
while you're
yeah,
in the triangle. You have somebody at the shore like throwing blocks of cheese in your mouth while you're sitting there.
yeah. No, I brought up if you want to enhance your chi, you eat cheese, and this guy said it was ridiculous. Bull night, the retard.
Yeah, because we don't even agree on how to spell chi. Like that's step one.
It's not about
Are
the
we talking
spelling,
about the
dude.
same
It's not about
thing?
the spelling. All right.
I think it is.
You brought up smiling. You're cheesing, and you said that enhances your chi. It ain't spelled the right
Being
way, dude.
cheesy.
It ain't spelled the right way. Oh,
I was told that the key is to make sure your bed doesn't face your door, because then it all goes out at
Oh,
night.
it's supposed to face north. Your head's supposed to face north when you sleep. I forgot about
What
that.
about your
Thank
whole
you for
body?
reminding me.
Like, oh wait, like the top of
Like
your head
north
facing
south
north.
facing, like your feet at south, your head at north. That's where you're sleeping, and the energy, whatever, is supposed to flow through you better that way.
With
Apparently,
your mouth
allegedly.
slightly open and your tongue
No,
touching the
your
roof
mouth.
of your mouth.
Wait, open. No, you're supposed to you don't want to be a mouth breather. You gotta keep
No,
your
no, no,
mouth
no. You're
closed.
just your teeth slightly open, but your tongue touching the roof of your mouth. So
Oh,
you're not breathing
like one
through
of
your mouth.
those, like one of those, like
Like a
mouth
capacitor.
guards. I keep seeing people wearing like those
Yeah.
mouth
Yeah, the
guards.
mouth guard's a dielectric that enhances the capacitive
Yeah,
response between
get a
your
mouth guard,
jaw
Blob.
and your skull.
Get the mouth guard. Sleep with your head facing north. You should also build a pyramid. Well, you could use the same pyramid that you go and take the copper pyramid that you go put in the river. You could take that and put it over your bed when you're not in the river.
Well, you don't
You
have to
just
use the
sleep
same
in that.
one. You can have two, like one for
Well,
bed and one for creek or
if you're
stream.
on a budget, you can use the same
Fair.
one.
I really think that like the chainmail blankets like absolutely enhance that. They're weighted and they're conductive. And
Wait,
if you
what
ground
about?
that shit, like you are buried in the earth electromagnetically.
I've seen one of those EMF blocking bed sheet things, dude. Those things are like $300. I'm like, you could just buy EMF fabric and
Yeah.
probably make it for less than that, and
you,
just
you
put that
you
around the
buy Faraday
triangle.
cloth. Yep.
Oh wait, that might not work though, because then Well, maybe you could put the cloth on the inside and then still attach a piece of the copper to like your ankle or something while you sleep. Because
Yeah, with the strap,
would that
the grounding
block you
strap.
from? Would that? Oh, okay, grounding strap. Because I was gonna say that
Yeah.
would block then anything from the pyramid if you have like EMF protective shit. Like I guess you could test it with a little tester and see. That's something I've wanted to do also with my because I have some EMF fabric, but it's like that silver kind, and it seems to work when I use my little EMF thing on it. But
Yeah,
like the
that'll
mesh,
absolutely work.
the mesh kind though that like they use on the beds where you could like see through it. Like I don't know. I'm like I want to test that myself. I'm like hesitant to believe that fully. You know.
The size of the mesh, like the silver fabric is just a really tight mesh, and then the bed stuff is a looser mesh, usually just for like ventilation. But
Yeah.
the size of the mesh has to do with the frequencies it can block. Like chain
Oh.
link fence will block a low enough frequency because the wavelength is inverse to the frequency. So the wavelength is what to do is what you consider when you pick the like size of the grating.
Got it. Yeah, I did notice there's different like gauges and widths and stuff when I was looking at fabric.
If you can
Um,
find the like technical specs on those fabrics, they'll probably have a frequency range that they're designed for. And finer fabric will also block really low frequencies. So it's like a filter. Like chain link lets a bunch of higher frequencies through. The fabric will let almost no higher frequencies through, but they both block the low frequencies.
got it. Word. Thank you. Very informative. Are you
Yeah,
taking notes, Bob?
I think the Faraday fabric is just such a cool material for multiple reasons in that way.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. I used it back 8 years ago when I was pregnant. I made a little like apron thing because I saw like in Japan they have like aprons for their tummy that's like EMF blocking that they would wear to like work and stuff. So that's why I have a whole bunch of it, and I've used it in like blankets and stuff, like baby blankets and different things, like as like a liner on the inside. Um, and I've always wondered since now like more newer stuff. I think back when I bought it, there wasn't like a big selection of fabrics, at least not that I could find. Um, so now that I see like more mesh and knits and people are doing like hats and t-shirts and all kinds of stuff, I'm like, oh, I need to get some more fabric, spend some more money I don't need to spend. But
Now, did you pair it with conductive thread?
no, I did not.
Because that'll I mean the conductive thread will
Yeah.
basically be like what binds layers together
Yeah.
electromagnetically.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. I was just thinking about blocking from the, you know, damn, now I wonder how much thread costs. It's probably like $50 a spool or something stupid. But I didn't think about that. Good point. Damn. Oh well. It's still better than not having
You could
anything.
even, I mean, if you're patient enough, you could use like unenameled copper wire and sew it rather than putting it through a sewing machine. You could just hand weave copper wire as long as it's not magnet wire, it doesn't have that enamel insulator.
Word. Yeah, that's a good point. But if it's thin enough for me to be able to, I could probably put that through sewing machine. It's
That would be an amazing experiment. I would love to see. I've
yeah,
never heard of somebody even trying, but that'd be awesome.
yeah, I would try that for sure. I wonder if I should use it. Would it be bad to have it like 'cause in the sewing machine you have like the bottom thread and the upper thread? Like if I had just a regular cotton, I wonder if they make linen thread. They got to make linen thread because linen's like a higher conductive whatever, you know. So if I could get linen thread, so have the bobbin bottom thread be that, because I don't know if the copper would attach with the on both ends, you know, like
Yeah,
it
it's probably
might.
not flexible enough to be like one of them.
Yeah, so if I put the bottom one, which is the one that goes through more weird angles and shit, and had that one be like a cotton or a linen, and then had the top one be copper, I bet you it would work. I should try. That
We're
sounds
trying out.
but it wouldn't like because that would still be somewhat conductive with the linen or cotton or whatever, wouldn't it? Not as good
I
as
would expect
copper,
it to
but
be, yeah. I mean, at a certain, well, I mean, when we're coming to frequencies, it's alternating. So, like a capacitors block DC, but they let alternating currents through it depending on the frequency. So, at a certain point, just being physically close to each other is enough to count as having continuity for higher frequencies specifically. So,
or
yeah, I wonder how you test that. It'd be a cool experiment, regardless. But.
yeah, try to do one like hand stitch, like what you said, and then one with the cotton thread or linen or whatever, and see if there's a difference when you test it on the little meter thing. Well, I don't know, man. So what's up, Blob? Does he leave now? He's like got everybody talking about chi, and now he doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
You know, he only wants to talk about his very specific special chi that is better than everyone's. And if you
I
don't
didn't
allow
even
him to
get
do
to.
that,
I didn't even get to hear what it was though. What's his
as
special
far as
chi?
we got, it's just what you get by eating cheese, and that was the end of the. That's the end of it. Step 1, eat cheese. Step 2, win. I don't know. He never described it.
That's great.
Just because they sound like the same word in English.
Oh, he got bored. He needed to go troll somewhere else, I guess.
Yep.
So has anybody been paying attention to Witsit streams? Did he start streaming regularly like he promised again, or is he back to not streaming again for 6 months?
Looks like he's got one from 17 hours ago. Feminism, mass psychosis of women, and reintroduction of Moloch. 2.5 hours.
Oh, that sounds like 2.5 hours. Or even if I listen to it double time, an hour and a half of time that I don't want to lose to listen to that sounds. I mean, I don't know. I'm tempted to just skim through it though, I'm not gonna lie. Or at least get some clips at the end of him e-begging for something.
I can't get past the AI thumbnails.
Oh, he's doing AI thumbnails now.
They're hardcore.
Oh, yeah, support your local human, right? Mm, maybe he hasn't got the memo about, about how uncool it is to use AI as your thumbnails. It's okay. He'll learn eventually, maybe.
Hopefully.
I'm actually surprised though.
You just ousted yourself because you know he's streaming.
I'm the one
I
that
know
looked it up and told her.
he's streaming right now.
I'll dunk myself then.
No, if he didn't answer, I was gonna go look it up and see because I don't know. I just figured, um, you know, I mean, I'm proud of him. He's actually, I mean, yeah, it wasn't every day like he was claiming, but at least he didn't wait for a bunch of months. So maybe,
Yeah,
he's
he
doing better.
did some pretty good streams on that crazy broad who exed her children.
Oh, geez, yeah, I don't want to listen to that. Does he think that that's not a psyop or what?
No, he says it's a psyop. You should listen to it. He's got some valid points.
Does he? Okay, all right. Does he think that it was like actually like done, like she actually did that, or does he think it's a psyop, like the whole thing is It's like fabricated.
I believe he believes that. Yeah, you can get it. He thinks it actually happened, but maybe it's like, never let a good tragedy go to waste type psyop.
Okay. Did he bring up the chick that or the other person, I guess, that has the same name that this happened to, like right before?
Whoa,
There
I don't
was
think so. And this is the first that I've heard that.
yeah, I don't know. I heard it a couple days ago that there was some other like same exact story of some like something like maybe not killing, but like something like I have to find it because I did just send it to somebody. When I found it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Um, but yeah, there's something that happened like a couple days before this that was with this. The husband and wife had the same exact names. Super weird. Um, but yeah,
Just another coincidence that
yeah.
if you could share that on the text,
I'll
please.
go find it. I'll go look for it right now. Hold on. That reminds me, I did see a video of like the real flock, like what we think is the flock cameras are like the decoys or something, and like the real ones are like hardwired into the street lights, like up top. You can't even like see them barely, like unless you're really looking. And those are the ones that, because I mean, I was thinking about it. I'm like, dude, how are they like always catching people having all these like cameras and all this shit like way before flock cameras were around? Maybe those were these. I don't know, but
Yeah,
definitely.
I would say the real flock cameras are the fake birds. Didn't you know?
They're like try to chase some bad guy, and they're like, get the pigeon in there. The pigeon's like
Yeah, I mean,
wobbling around.
so that whole like theory where all birds are fake, they just ran with it. Like the mainstream bootlickers, ran with it and said all birds are fake, and anyone that believes that is crazy, much like they did with chemtrails, right? So it's totally possible and reasonable to think there are some fake birds out there, right? You'd have to be, you know, retarded not to think that's a possibility.
I think they actually just made a silent drone. Like they can make those blades on drones silent now. They just changed the shape of the blade so that it's like the sound is like below the frequency we can hear or some nerd shit.
Well, that's wild. That's freaking wild.
That was a huge part in everyone having drones, right? You want to have a drone car, like this shit's gonna be loud as fuck. But when they changed, like I said, they changed the blade shape. They can make that sound happen below a frequency we can hear. So like you won't even hear nothing.
Well, that wouldn't be too hard for like companies to figure out, right? You think they would like prohibit them from manufacturing like that Jetson one that you can buy now?
Well, they used to say all perpetual motion machines were fake. Me and Jeremy gets through, they won't be saying this shit no more.
Oh, you guys solved perpetual motion?
We're going to.
Perpetual.
Yeah, I got some good
We
ideas.
got ideas. Put it that way. We just don't have magnets yet.
Look at Cole. Look at Cole coming around.
Oh, everyone's a naysayer when it comes to this. You can't do it. Cole jumps right on board. He's like, let's fucking go.
Would you stop drinking tap water, Cole? What happened?
No, I've always been fascinated with it. I just never have done it. But me and Jerry's been talking about getting some magnets and see what we come up with. So I'm all in on it.
But if it's possible, then the government, who cares about us, would definitely make that available to us, right?
I found that video, by the way. I just posted it. It's basically the chick in there was like a husband wife in Colorado where she was suffering from postpartum something and her throat got slit, and the same thing happened to this other chick. Her throat was slit. They had the same names. It was had to do with postpartum. I don't think there were any kids involved in the other one though, or it didn't say that there were.
Well,
But
thank the
yeah,
Lord for that. Thank the Lord for that. Thank you for sharing, by the way.
yeah. It's just weird that both husband and wife had the same names and both had something to do with throat being slit with like days of each other. I don't know. Maybe it was 3 days, 33 seconds from each other. I don't know. Or 33 minutes. I don't know. Who knows? But that's the one I was telling you about. So I posted it. I can't help but think
It
that
was
the
one of
whole
those.
thing's a fad, but that's just me. Like not even like what's it saying where it's a real event that actually happened. Like I don't know. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. I just know how they operate with these things, and I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope it didn't happen. That would be awesome.
Right? That would be where I'm a pro spiricist. You know, all this bad stuff's happening. Nope, not happening. Fingers in the ears. Blah, blah, blah.
You're sounding like me now. I'm like a permanent optimist. The internet is only good. There's no bad that comes from it.
I mean, the whole remember the pink hats thing from like 10 years ago? I'm thinking these are the same actresses. Like, in a way that people are actually really like, you know, going out there to support her all in pink, all like, I don't know. I just don't believe it. Like, there's no way. That's insane. And
You did.
like,
You didn't march with a pink hat.
no, I didn't. And that's I was just saying, remember that? It was like these droves of people and all the same exact pink hats came out at the same time. Like, oh, it's not planned. Oh yeah, who distributed the fucking hats? You know, like I'm just it's just got a lot of similarities, and you know, they show one group of, 30 actors all in pink. Like, yeah, right, dude. Real people, real moms would not be doing that. Like, fuck that. Nope. Not buying it. It's all to get you worked up and get us all. There's something else going on. They're passing some crazy bill. They're doing something, something behind closed doors to get us to sit here and like, talk about this instead of other things that are probably happening. I don't know. That's just my
Yeah,
guess.
you gotta admit though, there's some brain dead broads that go along with what's currently happening, right? Support her.
No, that's what I'm saying is bullshit. Like, there's no way that those are all moms, actual moms out there saying like, yeah, like, no, I just don't believe it. They're actors in my mind. They're not. I don't believe that they're real people, and that if they were real people, they sure as hell wouldn't be putting their faces out there for their neighbors and everybody to see that they're like just cool with killing babies. So I just
Okay.
don't believe it.
Okay, cool. I'll go along with that. I'll pretend that there's no pro child murderers out there. The pro abortionists are all fake.
You think they couldn't be paid actors too? Soros has deep pockets, man. You gotta fund both
Yeah.
sides of every debate of everything. Like, so if you can admit that the pink hats was a psyop, then like there's no way that they couldn't have hired 30 actors to be, doing that, going along with it. I think there's a lot more actors out there than what we realize. Or they're just really good at covering up their true identities or whatever. But I don't think they're even that good.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. And I hope that's the case, but I don't know. There's just too many people I know in real life that are pro-abortion. So
Wait, you know people in real life that are like saying that this is good?
no, I said that are pro-abortion, and it's not a far leap. It's not even a far step from
No, that's a way far step to be
no,
pro-abortion
they
and then
just
just be
passed.
like cool with killing
Dude,
grown 5-year-olds. Like, no, dude.
they just passed like an abortion up to birth.
Go ask those people. I want you to actually ask the people that you know that are pro-abortion and ask them what they think of the story, just to see.
Okay, I will. But yeah, I mean, there are states out there that legalize abortion up even after birth. So
Well, up
That's no
till
longer
birth, right?
abortion,
It was
but no, it's
it was
Alex
in
Joe. Alex Jones mentioned this on the Joe Rogan podcast like 4 years ago. He's like, "Yeah, post-birth abortions, they're real." Then Jamie
yeah,
looked it up, and they were like, "Holy shit!"
yeah, that was a thing. I thought longer than 4 years ago. Um, but just
Yeah,
recently they announced that I think it was Connecticut or Massachusetts. Just maybe they weren't doing that before, and now they're doing it, and that's why people are talking about it again. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I still don't think that that's comparable to like offing a 5-year-old though. And I'm curious if anybody knows anybody in the real world who would say that and admit that. Um, you know,
yeah. I'd like to
yeah.
extend. I'd like to extend it to around 10 years when you get a real good feel for the kid. See if he's like, worth the rest of the effort.